What's up guys, it's Jordan here from SwitchWatch. Today we've got a quick, simple review for the quick and simple solo Islands of the Heart. Before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the little bell to keep up with all our Nintendo Switch related content. As stated, Solo is a simple game, so this is just going to be a quick review. Jumping straight into the story, you choose your character, boy or girl, plus your sexual preference. Yes, love and relationships plays a massive part in the story. And considering the story really is what you're playing for here, the mushy, touchy-feely personal nature to it may make or break your enjoyment of what it has to offer. You start off as a blank page, but as time goes on, you're asked many questions regarding your opinion on love-related stuff, whether you're in a relationship already, whether you feel long-distance relationships can work, or if you believe you can love more than one person at a time. Introspective is the word here. Your answers are played back to you and it really does make you think about your own thoughts. Am I right in thinking this? Is it selfish of me? It's pretty much a far cheaper version of therapy if you feel trapped about relationship stuff. You're asked to be as open as possible, to be honest with yourself about answers you choose, and I highly recommend this as lying, trying to be the perfect partner for someone else, would only deny the game's purpose and you seeing any kind of reward from it. Not all the answers available are as nuanced as I would have liked. The answers to the question about can you love more than one person at a time really didn't fit what I needed exactly, but that was less common than I had feared from the beginning. It's slightly artsy-fartsy at times and does veer towards the extreme ends of how you answer a bit too much, but I did enjoy what is essentially a self-assessment form. In the gameplay department, Solo is a laid-back game about taking your time, a game that invites you to listen to the birds, smell the flowers, well, metaphorically, but you can just take some lovely photos, play the guitar, and feed the animals. And yes, you can pet the dog or dog-like thing. In that regard, it's not the most thrilling game that I've ever played, but then again, you don't always need the ceaseless action that many games go for. Sometimes it's nice just to take your time. Aside from those few distractions just mentioned, you'll mostly be picking up boxes and other contraptions, rotating them and placing them in just the right places to help you reach your next objectives. You'll have things to divert water flows, have a wind machine to send you flying up, and using your glider, Breath of the Wild style, to cross gaps. The game is set between different archipelagos, each with a handful of ever-emerging islands. New islands pop up once you've completed the goal of the current island that you're on. The goal of most of the islands is simple. You reach a white tower first, which will then send a signal to a totem pole, which is where you're asked a relationship-related question. That's really it. A new island will pop out from the sea to do pretty much the same thing. It's not always that though. Sometimes you're granted progression if you feed a banana to an animal or water some flowers by diverting water. I wouldn't say it's a walk in the park. I didn't feel too many times that age-old puzzle game feeling of walking into a room and instantly knowing what to do. Sometimes it's not immediately obvious where to put your boxes and such, but once you've got to grips with how things work in the game, such as rotating things sideways or up and down, you'll find yourself getting through it just fine without it being too easy. It's gentle, but you'll still have to think a little. The problem is that, well, that's all there really is to it. Once you've played for about 20-30 minutes, that's what you're gonna get, and the sense of familiarity all too soon sets in. It tries to develop, but the gameplay really didn't hook me like it should. I know the story experience is where the main pull of the game is, but I would have liked a more meaty time solving the puzzles here. With such a short runtime, just a couple of hours, you would have hoped that they would have been able to fill that time with tons of variety, but they don't. I mean, it's not bad, but I just wish it could have been a little bit more. In the audio department, you've got some simple melodies going on, very relaxing, chilled guitar plucking over the same few chords. It's nice if not overly noticeable unless listening out for it. I must admit that I did prefer playing this with headphones on while I was in handheld mode, and that did up the experience quite a bit, admittedly. The guitar you pull out is also relaxing and well implemented to sound properly chilled out. Visually, I think the game is pretty. Not in terms of graphical prowess, but in just sheer color and brightness. It feels like summer, it feels fresh, you can almost feel the salty sea breeze. Wind Waker is an obvious visual comparison, but this is more quaint than that. It's almost like the perfect game for summer, perhaps chilling out on the balcony with a nice cool beer, or whatever your poison is. As you may be able to tell, I do like the presentation, but there is a major problem that I'm sure you've noticed by now. Performance-wise, I'm sad to report that it's actually very poor indeed. With all great respect, for such a simple-looking game filled with basic assets and physics, it is very poorly optimized. I always worry when indie games go for the Unity engine because I had so many bad experiences with those on the Wii U, and this has given me flashbacks. The game stutters all over the place and has an embarrassing amount of pop-in. I'm known for being fairly generous when it comes to performance issues, but I think Solo crosses the line due to its bare bones assets. It should not be like this. When looking at value and a price this high for such a short game, $20 for a couple of hours experience, and not a particularly engrossing couple of hours at that, I'm finding it hard to recommend Solo as good value. Due to its nature about you answering the questions as honestly as possible, there's pretty much no need to play again, as answering differently completely defeats its purpose. This is a one-time only game, and for $20, £15, I would say no. Some games can pull that off, but this doesn't. It's worth noting that there does seem to be a 20% discount from launch for a week or two, but that's still pushing it in my opinion. I would not buy it at that price. Before we get into my final thoughts of this brief review, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We cover Switch games, big and small, reviews, gameplays and features, and so on. We've got a lot to offer. If you're a regular, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up and leave a comment below telling us what you think of Solo. The movie, actually. Tell us what you think of Solo, A Star Wars Story. Personally, I love that movie. It's so good. It's simple action-adventure movie, and I think it's very underrated. Anyways, overall, there is a time and a place for Solo Islands of the Heart. Just not a time or place that will crop up often for most of us. Its introspective look at relationships and the search for them is fascinating, but the gameplay doesn't prop it up well enough. Yeah, it's fine and has enjoyment, but I think the price tag plus performance issues don't justify a purchase for many of you right now. Outside of the pricing, you'll get a passable experience that you may enjoy one lazy Sunday afternoon, especially those dwelling on relationships or lack thereof, but that's it. I definitely wait for a sale on this one. It's decent, but not quite there. Really bad performance issues, a 6 out of 10. I hope you've enjoyed this review, guys. Be sure to check out a couple of our videos that we've recently posted. Some accessory stuff, some reviews, some lists. They're all well worth a look, so I'll see you guys over there. Take care.